On today's installment of the John Campea Show, new toys for The Flash have come out, and they've pretty much just given away a surprise character showing up into it. Dungeons & Dragons has a new international trailer, and there's an 11-day advanced fan screening that nobody knows about, even though it's been out for a while. Is it possible that Michael Jordan could end up directing the new Black Panther film? Hugh Jackman is eating 8,000 calories a day. That's more than Jonathan Majors did to prep for his role to get ready for playing Wolverine. Avatar 2 is coming out with 3 hours of bonus material. John Wick Chapter 4's first reactions are out. All that and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good things. Joining me here today over there, we got Ray Ora. Running the show, we got Jonathan Voico. Sitting over there, we were reminded about his Jewish heritage, so we put him on Minority Island. We got Robert Meyer Burnett sitting back there, who's been doing nothing but watching video footage of his new puppies.
It's crazy over here. It's a whole new world.
Completely understandable. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. First part of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Second part of the show, we will take your live comments and questions via the Super Chat. When we get to the end of the main topics, we'll announce that Super Chats are open. That will be your time to fire in your comments and questions. We only leave the Super Chats open for just a couple of minutes, so you got to be ready to move quickly on that. Also, quick announcement for those of you who are our channel members. Thank you so much for being channel members. We're going to have a channel member chat a little bit later this afternoon. Keep your eye open on the community tab for what time we're going to be launching with that. All right, guys. With that down, we got a lot of stuff to cover here today. So let's start off with this. You know, big red carpet premieres, blockbuster movie franchises. These are all new big trends. What maybe you would call them even like classic traditions in movies. One of the newest big traditions in movies is toy lines spoiling things that are coming out in upcoming movies. Now, I'm going to give you guys a warning right now that while what we are going to be talking about here is now, unfortunately, publicly available information, I am going to give you a warning that this next topic will be talking a little bit about a potential spoiler for the upcoming The Flash movie. All right, so you've been warned. If you don't want to hear this topic, sail on away and then come on back. But like I said, this is now out there. It's publicly available information. So here we go. So we know the Flash movie is coming out and it's on its way. And everything that we've been hearing about it is absolutely fantastic. I mean, that's the word, that the movie is absolutely fantastic. We've heard industry insiders say it. I have talked to people I know that said it. Rob has talked to people that he knows that have said that it's absolutely fantastic. James Gunn himself is saying it's one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. All good stuff. And I'm excited about it. And we're going to be watching it in about a month and a half from now, almost 2 months early at Las Vegas CinemaCon, which I'm also very, very stoked about. So with all that said, you knew toys were going to start coming out. Now, in case you didn't know, and I only learned this because my wife worked in the toy industry for a while. She was a bigwig over at Hasbro for a number of years. But I found out when she started working there that, you know, the development on these toys actually has to go into production like a year before the movies come out. Like it was often that my wife, Ann, would literally have to fly and be flown out to movie studios. She had to go out to Lucasfilm. She had to go to Skywalker Ranch. She had to go to various studios sometimes to look at storyboards and things like that because the toy company needs to know what it is they're going to be making because it takes them a long ass time to make these toys. And as a result, sometimes we get little leaks. And for Flash, we got one because Funko Pops, which I adore my Funko Pops, but they have put out a, I guess they've got some toys coming out. And you know, on the back of the Funko Pop box, they'll have a number of other figures from that same line. Well, as you can see in this one, there's a couple of interesting ones, including, not the least of which, top center, Wonder Woman. And it looks like the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman. That, at least it's hard to say from a pop figure, but it looks pretty damn close to being a Gal Gadot Wonder Woman there. Also, we saw this kind of teased before and leaked a little bit before. It looks like Dark Flash is on there, which we are then going to assume is probably the main antagonist of this thing. Like we've seen Zod, but I have a feeling Zod, I don't know this. I just have a feeling Zod's not going to be a major player in the movie. And it looks like maybe Dark Flash will be. Of course, when we get a look at the two Batmans, we got the Michael Keaton Batman, we got the Ben Affleck Batman down there, Iris West, of course, Supergirl. A very interesting looking, well, first we got a regular looking Barry as the Flash, and then right beside him, another looking Barry, which is, I guess, the Barry from the first dimension that he visits. Anyway, it looks like Wonder Woman. Now, I remember watching a trailer recently, and somebody took a freeze frame of one frame where it looks like from overhead and slightly behind, you could see somebody doing this, and it looked like Wonder Woman's bracers on her arms. And somebody said, there it is, that's Wonder Woman. I said, well, I mean, it kind of looks like it could be, but you never know. Well, the toy line here kind of maybe suggests that it is Wonder Woman popping up in this movie. Now, it needs to be said, and we bring this up every time the topic of toys, maybe giving a spoiler away, comes up. It needs to be pointed out that there have been toys come out that looked like they were revealing a spoiler, and it turns out that toy wasn't in the movie at all. For example, there was a Justice League toy set that came out before the movie came out, and it had, the Jason Aquaman, the Batman, all that kind of stuff, but it also included a Lex Luthor in his giant purple battle armor that we recognize from the comics. And obviously that was not in the movie at all. So it's possible that what we're looking at here on the back of the Funko Pop boxes aren't even in the movie. That's completely possible. But we've all heard rumors that Wonder Woman was going to pop up in this movie. We saw some stuff maybe in a trailer before. I mean, so it looks like this is the way it's going. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance. You saw the toy box. First of all, what really can be done about this trend, I guess, of toy stuff releasing information about a movie early? And then what do you think about this idea of Wonder Woman being in there? Do you think she'll actually pop up?
Well, first of all, they have to make toys way in advance, and then the toys have to be solicited. They have to be put in catalogs, and they have to be put on order forms so the people that sell the toys know they're coming out. And that has to do with how many they're going to manufacture. If they get lots of orders, they know to make more Funko Pops. I only wish Hot Toys would work the way Funko does, but they don't. But in terms of this, I don't see, other than being able to keep a lid on it, but how do you solicit retailers in advance and not spill the beans?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the nature of the business. Unfortunately, I don't see a way around it other than if you have retailers that are already going to buy Funko Pops, they can say, trust us, we're going to make this many. But in terms of Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, look, it makes sense because the Flashpoint universe obviously had the Atlanteans and the Amazons, not Amazonians, I was corrected, the Amazons and the Atlanteans going to war with one another. So it doesn't surprise me, like we've seen in the trailer, that there's a world without metahumans. Maybe, I don't know how Wonder Woman fits into it, but I think it makes sense. She probably is in it. I would love to see the Amazons and the Atlanteans at war. Bring back Jason Momoa and show them battling in the ocean or something. Not like big scene, but make it cool, because I've always wanted to see that. But everything else, we know, I mean, Dark Flash, 2 different versions of Barry Allen. You know what? If nothing else, these pop figures make me that much more excited to see this movie. I can't wait to see it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Funko has never really been wrong with their Funko Pops and the movie stuff.
That's true. There have been toy lines that come out and it didn't have anything to do with it, but I can't recall a time when a Funko one did.
Yeah, Lego
doesn't care.
messes it up.
Funko doesn't care. They're trying to release those things or those promo pics way early, and a lot of people have gotten mad at them for doing so.
Well, no, I don't think Funko put this picture out. I just think this is the packaging of the toy.
Oh, right.
And I think because this packaging is going out to a lot of people, and some of those people are taking pictures and putting them up online.
And John, we're not that far away.
No, we're not.
From this movie, so it makes sense. I mean, even just shipping toys and getting them in, getting product, and a lot of the time, people forget that movie toys tend to, other than Hot Toys, movie toys tend to hit stores before the movie opens. So this makes sense. I mean, comic book stores, collectible stores, any place that has Funko Pops, game stores are going to get these probably in advance of the movie actually opening.
Yeah, and they need to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, because you bring it up. It's a tough problem that there's not actually an obvious solution to. So I'm sure the toy industry and the movie industry is going to continue to work on it. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? It looks like we just got a toy confirmation that Wonder Woman's going to at least pop up in the movie. I doubt a major role, but she's at least probably going to pop up. What do you guys think about that? What can the toy industry and the movie industry do? I mean, they have to start working on these toys far in advance. They have to start shipping them out because logistically, getting all these things out to all the people who's got to have, they got to be at toy conventions for people to see. What's the solution? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down. Speaking of movies I'm really excited about, I'm really excited about Dungeons and Dragons. I was not when they first announced it. I was not excited for it because all I remember is the bad taste in my mouth of that Jeremy Irons Dungeons and Dragons movie. And I'm a D&D fan. I play D&D. My wife plays D&D. Ray's played some D&D with us. We love playing D&D. And so I was not all that excited. Now, when they then said that Chris Pine was going to be part of it, Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith, Bridgerton Boy, Jean Valjean Javert, I can't remember his actual name, Bridgerton Boy, who looks great in the movie, by the way, and it's just utterly ridiculous how handsome he is. I went, okay, well, actually, and then Hugh Grant, by the way, if you missed my review of it, I watched Operation Fortune with Jason Statham, directed by Guy Ritchie, and Hugh Grant's in it. Hugh Grant is freaking awesome in that movie. He's so good in that movie. So that just made me more excited to see Dungeons and Dragons. Anyway, they have dropped a brand new trailer. They're calling it the international trailer. And it continues to do the thing that I love about this movie so far, even though I haven't seen it, which is it feels to me, and maybe the marketing is misleading, but it feels to me like this movie is made to feel like you were actually sitting around a table playing D&D with your buddies, because the dialogue and the lines and all that kind of stuff all feel like an actual D&D game. Like you were sitting there playing with your buddies and this is stuff was said. And you know what highlighted that the best? There's a scene in this new international trailer that they didn't have in the other trailers of the spell that get cast to ask a dead man 5 questions. And the way that scene breaks down, it's like, this is exactly how it would work out if we were sitting around the table with our dungeon master and our friends. Okay, so now I get to ask 4 more questions, and the dungeon master would totally go, yes, that's your second question. And we go, wait, because sometimes the dungeon master's trying to screw you. And it just looks like this is continuing to do that. I love the look of the owlbear. I think I counted 3 different dragons in it. And you know what? The sense of the humor of it is working for me so far. Look, I'm not telling you this movie's going to be great. I am not telling you this movie's going to be great or even any good. It might be terrible. I'm just saying it looks pretty good so far, and it's really appealing to me. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to check out the international trailer. What did you think about it?
John, I love this trailer. I thought this was the best trailer yet. I thought it was really smart to begin with a dragon, a scary dragon that has a lot of power. And like you said, to me, it's always about tone. And this movie has told you, here's the tone that we're going for. And it's consistent all the way through. Like you said, I love this scene with the dead guy. I mean, it's very funny. And Chris Pine is really good at this kind of a role.
He really is.
And it really looks like everyone else is in the spirit of this. And going in, I mean, even the music, with the trailer, it's the kind of music you would listen to while you're playing Dungeons and Dragons with your friends.
Yes.
I've got Zeppelin on my playlist. I got a little Rush on my playlist. I got a little Yes on my playlist, whatever. It is, I don't know. This movie seems to know exactly what it is, and it looks to be one heck of a good time at the movies. And that's what I want. I mean, I don't like it when you see these fantasy films and then they try and do different things. They want to be serious, but then at the same time, they add colloquial humor. And you see that a lot, like all the way back to movies like Lady Hawk, even though I thought Lady Hawk worked.
Dude, that synth soundtrack in Lady Hawk.
Come on, man. Alan Parsons Project. But that, I love that movie. When Michelle Pfeiffer first sees Rutger Hauer, I always cry. But anyway, this looks great. And I'm excited for it. It looks like another, Paramount, another notch on their belt.
Yeah. Somebody else in the live chat just said something. I missed the person's name who said it, so forgive me. But somebody said something in the live chat. What if the movie does end and you find out they are actually a bunch of friends sitting around a table playing a game of D&D? I would love that.
Dude.
Like, that to me would be awesome.
I would love it too. That would
And then
be
you
great.
have Tom Hanks walk in the room reprising his role as the kid from Mazes and Monsters. For anybody who remembers that piece of glory. Anyway, listen, I should point out one more thing too. This is fascinating how no attention this has got, because I bet 90% of the people watching this do not even know about this. Do you know that there is at like 11 day in advance, like almost 2 weeks before the movie comes out, there is an Amazon not free, but fan screening of this movie in theaters before, like I said, almost 2 weeks before the movie comes out. And nobody knows about it. And it's being done through Adam. It has not been publicized, at least it hasn't been publicized well. I've seen none of the trades carrying this. But you can go over to my screen there for a second, Jonathan. There actually is a Dungeons and Dragons, what they're calling an Amazon Prime early showing. If you got to be an Amazon Prime member, or at least the person buying the tickets for your group has to be an Amazon Prime member. And it's on, I think that's a Sunday. I can't remember what day of the week that is, but it's on March 19th.
It's Sunday.
It is a Sunday at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And I'm going to show you, like, I've heard nobody talk about this. This thing apparently launched almost a week ago. And I only found out the other day, and I went and got tickets. But I'm going to show you something here. That this, we're going to say AMC Tyler Gallery, which is one by me. I'm saying one ticket, sure. We'll say one ticket. I go to pick my seats. The blue seats are available. And oh, well, look at those 4 dots in the second to back row. Yeah, those are mine. Those are the ones I bought. So aside from me,
You know where to find them at 2
one,
p.m.
2, yeah, I just doxed myself from the movie theater. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other tickets have been sold. Nobody knows about this.
Yeah, it's a tiny theater too.
Yeah.
It's like a screening room theater.
It's a small one. And so, guys, listen, go on to Adam Tickets or do a search on Google. Just search Dungeons and Dragons, Amazon, March 19. If you go onto Google and search Dungeons and Dragons, Amazon, March 19, you should get the Adam Tickets link that will take you and tell you what theater's playing you. Because I can't wait to go and watch this thing, but apparently nobody knows about it.
buy all of them.
I can't wait to come to the John Campea
your
Show meet
security.
and greet that you've now just inadvertently set up at this theater.
I mean, if you want to grab that seat on the end, you can share a burrito with Ray at 2 p.m.
I just showed you where to get Ray's seat.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Go find it. If you're looking forward to this movie, you can see it like almost 2 weeks in advance, and nobody's publicized this. So go check it out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this new D&D international trailer? I quite like it. Surprisingly, I've really liked the trailers for this so far. Will it be a hot steaming pile of garbage? Maybe. We don't know. But the marketing's been good. I'm excited. What did you guys think about it? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to another topic here, shall we? And that one is this. Now, we talk about this sometimes. The second biggest piece of movie news I've ever covered in my career. The first being Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm and that new Star Wars was coming. That's number one. Number two, though, is that Hugh Jackman was returning to play Wolverine again with Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool 3. That, to me, second biggest piece of movie news I've heard. And so now a lot of people are asking, wait a minute, Hugh Jackman, one of the reasons he decided he was done playing Wolverine was he was sick and tired of the insane diet and workout schedule. He's like, man, I just want to be a regular guy again. I don't want to have to get up at 5 a.m. and pump weights for 2 hours. Like, it's done. I'm getting older, man. I don't want to do this anymore. So when they announced that he was coming back, a lot of people recognized that, well, hey, he's trimmed down a bit and like great shape still, absolutely great shape. But when you watch him in like Greatest Showman, whatever, still in great shape, but he's definitely slimmed down a bit. So he announced he was going to get into bulking up. I didn't know how much. But according to this story that's in Variety, Hugh Jackman has been eating 8,000 calories a day in chicken burgers, salmon, whole bunch of other things, steaks, all that kind of stuff. Now, this comes to us from the folks over at Variety. You can go to my screen on this if you want. It says, Jackman is officially in the Wolverine mode. The actor shared a photo of his daily meal plan for his bulking up for Deadpool 3, in which he reprises the role of Wolverine opposite Ryan Reynolds. All right. Bulking, a day in the life was the name of the post that Jackman put up. Jackman wrote as a caption of sharing a photo of the 6 meals that he will eat in a given day. He wrote, Jackman's meals include black bass with 2,000 calorie portion, Patagonia salmon, 2,100 calories, 2 chicken burgers, around 1,000 calories each, and 2 grass-fed sirloins, 1,100 calories each. That means, first of all, I can't even measure how much protein this guy's eating a day. That means Jackson is consuming over 8,000 calories a day now as he gets bulked up for Wolverine. To put that into perspective, Jonathan Majors ate 6,000 calories a day for 4 months in order to play a bodybuilder in his upcoming Sundance movie magazine Dreams. Hugh Jackman, is eating much more. Then he goes on to say, if the deity is part chicken, he's in trouble because he's killed a lot of chickens and he's working out a lot and he's bulking up. And then we saw pictures of him, right? Remember that? We saw that he put out that one social media with his female trainer and I'm like, frick, what is he, 56? 55? How old is Jackman now? I don't know, but that's stupid.
Look that up.
By the way, his trainer looks like he could kick everybody's ass too, but that dude, dear
54.
heavens. 54?
Yeah.
Dude's 54 years old. Look at that. And he wasn't that big 6 months ago. But he also went on to talk about how a lot of people ask him, have I juiced? He goes, I have never juiced. And I'll tell you why I've never juiced. Just some people told me anecdotally about some of the possible side effects. He says, I love playing Wolverine, but I don't love playing him that much. I don't want none of that. So he says, he insists he's done it all the natural way. Again, shows the commitment. And you know what? It kind of also reminds us about why maybe he hung it up as Wolverine. You really got to eat that much and you got to train that hard all the time for one movie. But man, that's the dedication of Hugh Jackman. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to check him out. When do you start this diet? And what do you think?
Next week, get rid of that alcohol and just eat that protein. I'm all in. Count me in, John. But look, I think he looks great, and I think, you know what I think? I think that everyone wants to have a good time. I think the reason that Ryan Reynolds was able to convince him to come back is clearly they have so much fun together. And when you work in the business, it's a long, tough road, even if you're a big star. I can't imagine how much fun it's going to be. I mean, I'm not going to be on that set, but how much fun it's going to be for the two of them to be in this movie together. And remember, they were together in a movie before with Wolverine, and it wasn't so great. So this is kind of a recapturing of the that magic that never was. So
it's funny too, when you go back to that Wolverine movie, in which was the first time we saw Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool. The Deadpool, I mean, other than the end when they took away the mouth of a guy whose moniker is the Merc with a mouth.
Yeah.
But when you go back to before that, all that, he was acting very much like the Deadpool. Very much so. Right? So it's a very similar Deadpool. Not that those universes are connected per se, but I love it. And my God, I'm super impressed with Hugh Jackman that he would do stuff like that. His commitment to the role is crazy. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? Do you think you could do this 8,000 calorie a day diet that Hugh Jackman is doing? That just seems insane. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
So
all right,
8,000 in Pringles.
With that, 8,000 calories in Pringles,
baby.
no problem.
Yeah. You want to get there quickly? Western Bacon Cheeseburger, Carl's Jr.
I'm ready to go. Why don't I look like Wolverine?
I never said that, but
all right. With that down, guys, let's move on now. Speaking of Ryan Reynolds, to our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you guys have a question for our show and you'd like to hear your voice on the show, go ahead and call that hotline number at 951-268-4259. Ryan Reynolds himself will answer the phone in his Deadpool voice and take down the message. He won't really do that, but it'll get to us and maybe you'll hear the voice on our show. And then we got a question again about, do you think you could actually recast Tony Stark and Steve Rogers? Check it out.
Hey, John and crew. This is Lucas from Florida. I know you always say that Robert Downey Jr. will return to the MCU, and I think you're right. But I think it'll only be for a one-off in Secret Wars or something like that. Same with Chris Evans. So my question is, when do you think it'll be the right time to recast Tony Stark and Steve Rogers and bring those characters back in some way? I know the next few phases will be Fantastic Four and X-Men heavy, but are we really going to go 7 or more years without another Tony Stark and Steve Rogers? Thanks. Bring on the filthy.
All right, Lucas, thanks a lot for calling that in. And first off, yes, definitely Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans will be back. I don't care.
Well, John, there's reportedly an executive of Marvel that said the other day they have no plans to bring.
Yeah, they can say that all they want. They're going to have Robert Downey Jr. back at some point. Now, maybe it'll be something as small as a quick appearance in a Secret Wars. Could be something a little bit larger. Maybe he does come back for another, 2 or 3 picture deal. That's possible. Chris Evans, same thing. I mean, I just saw the trailer for Chris Evans and Ana de Armas's new one called Ghosted. I love Chris Evans. Everybody, how much I gush about Chris Evans. I love that dude. And Ana de Armas. Who doesn't love Ana de Armas? That movie looked terrible. Like, that movie looks awful. There's a very similar looking trailer that came out yesterday called Citadel that looks 100 times better. But at any rate, yeah, there it is. I mean, just that picture would make me want to watch the movie. The trailer did not make me want to watch the movie. But Chris Evans will be back. Again, maybe it's something as small as just Secret Wars, possibly. Maybe something a little bit bigger. Who knows? We'll see. But let's move on to the main part of the question that I was asking. At what point does Marvel just straight up recast Tony Stark and Steve Rogers? I mean, as you pointed out, how many years do we go in an MCU? Like, how many years can you go in the MCU without the Marvel Cinematic Universe, without the main Marvel heroes in Tony Stark and Chris Evans, Steve Rogers? How long can you go? So at what point do they just straight up recast these roles? I don't think they ever recast them. I don't. Now, listen, I believe an actor is a day worker. They come in, they play their role, they apply their unique sets of talents and skills to bring a character to life. And then they leave a project long before the project's done. They leave a project and move on to their next gig. That's what actors do. They're great. But that's why I also believe they are replaceable. But with something like the MCU, while I would be perfectly okay if Kevin Feige out on stage next week somewhere and said, we are pleased to introduce the new Tony Stark in our Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that new Tony Stark is Jake Johnson from New Girl. I mean, obviously they would do that, but I'm just pulling a name out of my ass here. I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay, but they'll never do that. These characters, like Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man, kind of defined the MCU. Chris Evans playing Captain America kind of defined the MCU. And they are now in the process of reinventing the MCU. Maybe some people would criticize a little too quickly, because in the last phase, they've been throwing just a ton of new characters at us. But still, they're in the phase right now that they are kind of reinventing the MCU. And honestly, I think they know, Rob, that were they to announce Jake Johnson, everybody loves Jake Johnson. If they were to announce Jake Johnson as the new Tony Stark, it wouldn't matter who they could announce Leonardo DiCaprio is the new Tony Stark. It wouldn't matter. I think the fans would not have it. To quote M'Baku, we will not have it. I think the fans would simply not have it. Same with Chris Evans. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, other than maybe a goof scene in a movie like Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, where we see a different version of Captain Marvel and maybe it's somebody else. Other than that, I just don't think they'll ever recast these roles. Rob, you've said before that you believe we're going to see Iron Man and Steve Rogers probably pop up in Secret Wars. Do you think a time could come that Marvel just says, hey, we haven't rebooted, but we need Tony Stark and Chris and Steve Rogers back. Let's just recast the roles. Could you see that happening?
No. And I'll tell you, I think that Chris Evans is going to be in New World Order. Old Chris Evans. And we're probably going to have a death scene where it's going to be the Return of the Jedi Yoda death scene talking to Luke. It's Sam Wilson.
Kind of like Steve talking to Agent Carter in what was it, Civil War before she died?
100%. That's what's going to happen. And there's going to be, Sam's going to go to Cap for advice. He's going to be disillusioned after what happens or something happens. And it's going to be that speech that Steve Rogers gives him that gives him the wherewithal to continue on. I would say, and then he dies because he's still alive.
Yep.
He's not dead. So
he's living on the moon.
But I do think that we are going to see a version of Captain America and a version of Tony Stark come back in Secret Wars because it's the multiverse. It's the end of the multiverse. And it'll be, in a way, it's the way that they could do the Portals scene where doors open throughout the multiverse, and I would imagine we'll see different iterations of Tony Stark. We've already, can we say, there's already a Kang Dynasty that we've seen.
Yeah.
What a bunch of, iterations of these characters are what's going to turn the tide. I mean, the funny thing about this, John, is I watched Endgame over the weekend, on Disney Plus, and I watched it enhanced it for IMAX.
They have that IMAX enhanced version, right?
Yeah, because I'd never watched it. First of all, it looks fantastic on Disney Plus. The thing about that movie that struck me is so much of it is set in the real world. The opening with Hawkeye, but even a lot of the conversations, now they do go through the quantum realm, but then they go to the real world. They go to New York. They go to these places where it wasn't like on all volume stages. And you feel it more. There was something more immediate about it. And I think that they know that. And I think they're going to pull back a little bit and give us more of that reality. But people want to see, I think Secret Wars is going to allow them to tie off a lot of this. They'll tie it off and people won't, because then they'll bring in the X-Men and they can reinvigorate. They've got a whole new universe and pantheon of characters that they can concentrate on, and they'll have the Avengers that remain. So...
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? Do you think that, number one, at some point we will see them return? Maybe Secret Wars is that target. Maybe it's something earlier like Captain America 4. And what do you think about the idea of maybe the MCU ever just saying, you know what, these characters are too important to our world, we're just going to recast them? I don't think they'll do it. Maybe you do. Maybe you can come up for good reason why they would. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, before we move on, we're going to take a second here and thank one of the sponsors of our show, delicious as they are, our friends over at HelloFresh.
With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Guys, it's the new year. Do you remember those New Year's goals you promised yourself you'd stick to? HelloFresh is here to help you eat better by delivering fresh ingredients and easy recipes right to your door, taking the hassle out of dinner time. Looking for an easy way to eat well and save money? Cut back on expensive takeout and delivery and get started with HelloFresh. You'll love how fast, easy, and affordable it is to whip up a restaurant-quality meal right in your own kitchen. My wife Ann and I have been constantly impressed by HelloFresh. Not only how absolutely delicious the food is, but how easy it is to prepare and how much fun we have doing it. Go to HelloFresh.com/Campea60 and use the code Campea60 for 60% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/Campea60 for 60% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
And thank you to our friends at HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you go and check out and support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. If you go down to the description of this video, right at the top, you'll find links and promo codes to all of our sponsors. And again, thank you to HelloFresh. All right, guys, with that down, let's keep things going here. We're going to go back to our hotline again with a really interesting question about a possible future director of the Black Panther series. Check this out.
Hey guys, this is Carlos. I just watched Creed 3 and I loved it like you guys did. I think Michael B. Jordan did a fantastic job directing. He added his own spin on the fights and overall handled the character-driven narrative very, very well. My question pertains to Michael B. Jordan as a director. Do you think he'll be tapped to direct Black Panther 3 if Ryan Coogler does not proceed to do that? I think he would be a great choice because he's familiar with the franchise and has been an actor in it. Thank you very much.
All right, Carlos, thanks a lot for sending that in. Yeah, like we've been talking about Creed 3 lately. It's a fantastic movie. I'm not sure it's quite as good as the first one because the first one is just all kinds of awesome. But this one is great and it's certainly comparable. And of course, this film was also Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut. And it was the perfect kind of movie for somebody to make their directorial debut. And I mean, really, if you think about it, all the stars were aligned perfectly, right? Michael B. Jordan wants to be his first-time director, all right? You don't want it to be a huge blockbuster film. You don't want it to be a giant tentpole film. The Creed films have been successful, but they've not been huge blockbusters. So it mitigates the risk from the studio. On top of that, you've got him working with, Coogler, who is still a producer on these films, and still actually the story of this one of Creed 3 was done by Coogler. So he's kind of there to maybe give a little bit of shepherding because he was the previous director, at least of the first one. He's there to shepherd him a little bit. And then another big benefit is, of course, Michael B. Jordan has lived with this franchise now for what, 6-7 years at this point? At any rate, so it's a character and a series and a franchise that he's very familiar with. You put all of that together, that is an ideal situation for somebody to make their directorial debut. Absolutely ideal. And Michael B. Jordan took that opportunity, and I'll tell you, he crushed it. He crushed it. He did a great job with this. Fabulous job. Now, of course, it starts with Coogler coming up with the story for it. The story for it was wonderful. It didn't feel like just another recycled, rehashed, kind of Rocky kind of storyline. Did a great job with it, and Michael B. Jordan came in next to you. Now, I will say, and I've said it before, Ray, you know what I'm talking about. There is a particular moment in the film where Michael B. Jordan makes some creative, artistic kind of choice for something that didn't really work for me, to be honest, and the most people I talked to didn't really work for them either. Has to do with something that happens in the middle of a boxing fight near the end. But other than that, handled it very well. So, Carlos asks, could he direct the next Black Panther? Well, when we're talking about the stars aligning, this is also something where the stars seem to align. Because just like he has worked with Ryan Coogler on the Creed films, his kind of mentor when it comes to directing, Black Panther is a series that Ryan Coogler directed. Michael B. Jordan was in the Creed films. Obviously, he was the star of the Creed films. Michael B. Jordan was in one of the Black Panther films. He was in the first one. Well, actually, I guess he did make an appearance in the second one too. Albeit it was a bad one. They never should have had that one. That one, it made real no sense to the narrative. But that being said, I would say this. While I thought Michael B. Jordan did a great job, not a good job, a great job directing this film, I don't think he's quite ready to do Black Panther. And I think for a couple reasons. Black Panther is a lot more of a nuanced movie, a franchise as a whole, with a lot of different types of elements in there that he hasn't had a chance to kind of tackle yet. That's one of the big ones. Number two, Black Panther is still, I think, a franchise that is in a little bit of a transition period, obviously, for tragic and unfortunate reasons, where the future of the franchise is still a little bit in question. And it's a much, much bigger movie than Creed. So look, I would say this. If Kevin Feige were to announce, here's the new director for Creed 3, being produced by Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, I'll tell you what, I would be, all right, let's see how this goes. He did a great job with Creed 3. He's working with Ryan Coogler. He is familiar with the world. I mean, again, all the stars are aligned, so I'd be okay with it. If I were Kevin Feige, I would want to see Michael B. Jordan direct one more, even if it was in the Creed universe, even if it was another Creed film or a Creed or a Drago movie or whatever. I think if I were Feige, I'd want to see one more. But again, because the stars are all aligning, if Kevin Feige announced it, I'm not going to lie to you, I would be down for it because, Rob, this is not one of those X director and X movie things. There's a lot of connective tissue here. And there are a lot of similarities between the Creed situation and the Black Panther situation. So I wouldn't be shocked if they did, even if I wouldn't pull the trigger on that one myself. What do you think about the idea of a Michael B. Jordan and the possibilities of a Michael B. Jordan directing the next Black Panther?
Well, I mean, the thing about Creed 3 is he was in it too. And the fact that he's front and center and the star of the movie, I mean, being a great actor is a very different discipline than being a great director.
Yes.
And I was really amazed at what he was able to pull off with Creed 3. And I think one of the things about Michael B. Jordan is, he's a lifer in terms of being in Hollywood. He started out working on The Wire, even though he died, too bad. Friday Night Lights. So he's worked his way up, and he's been on a lot of different sets. He's worked with a lot of different people. He and Ryan Coogler working on Fruitvale Station. So Michael B. Jordan has seen how things work on a set. And for him to pull off Creed 3 while he was also acting, imagine what he's going to be able to do if he's not acting. If he's just able to concentrate on the direction elements, and especially if you've got your old friend Ryan Coogler producing, I think he could knock it out of the park. But I think your points are well taken. Big effects. A lot of the time, directors, if they haven't used effects before, but that's what he's got Ryan Coogler to back him up. It's hard to sometimes envision how to put effects in a film, but I think he's going to do a great job. I have to say that the more I see him speak, like when he's on talk shows or just, he's a really smart guy.
Oh, he's articulate. He's well-spoken. He's thoughtful. Yeah.
I can only imagine what a creative force it's got to be to work with him, because he's a very impressive guy. And I think, he could probably do anything he puts his mind to. I can understand how someone like Kevin Feige, well, we're not going to just give you a $200 million movie. But the Marvel team is a machine that the support staff is there. So I think he could pull it off, especially because he wouldn't be alone. And if things went south, which I don't think they would, but you still have Ryan Coogler there to back him up if you needed him. I don't think you would, but if you needed him.
All right, guys, question is for you. I don't think this is actually all that far-fetched of a question. And this, again, the stars kind of align. What would you think are the possibilities of, and would you be good with, they announced that a Michael B. Jordan, coming off of Creed 3, were to direct another Black Panther. Listen, Michael B. Jordan's already said he's going to be developing other Creed movies, so his dance card might be full. But hey, he's got a lot of time. He's a young guy. What do you guys think about all this? Whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about, if we're going to go into the realm of blockbusters, one of the ultimate ones. Avatar, The Way of Water, made $2.28 billion, with a B, dollars at the box office, making it the all-time number 3 box office film in history, surpassing James Cameron's other film, Titanic, which means, of course, we've talked about this before, 3 of the top 4 biggest box office films of all time are all from one guy. Wrap your head. I've been talking about this for months, and I still can't wrap my head around it. 3 of the top 4 box office films of all time are all James Cameron movies. Absolutely insane. Well, Avatar 2, The Way of Water is now coming to home video. And there's a couple of surprises here. One of the surprises is that it's not just going to Disney Plus, which is exactly what I thought Disney would kind of do with it. But it makes sense that it's not. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. So it's coming out now on March 28th is when it will be available on Prime Video, Apple TV, Vudu, Movies Anywhere, and some others on 20th. So not just Disney Plus. That's the first thing. Digital editions will also be available in 4K Ultra HD quality with Dolby Atmos audio, which is something that I know Robert Meyer Burnett is going to appreciate hearing. So that's going to sound exciting to him. Now, this is the other interesting thing. The Way of Water comes with more than 3 hours of never-before-seen bonus content featuring the filmmakers, cast, and crew. Among the bonus content will be featurettes of the challenges of facing the cast and crew as filmmakers, a look at the building of the world of Pandora, looks at Pandora's returning and new characters, as well as bonuses on casting, stunts, and many other aspects of the filmmaking thing. See, the 4K Ultra HD, that's stuff that gets rough. Bonus material, behind-the-scenes content, all that's the stuff that really gets to me. As a guy who abandoned physical media a long time ago, the one thing I've always said that I have missed about physical media is that delicious bonus content. I love, whether it's bloopers or deleted scenes or director's commentary or these featurettes, I love that stuff. I eat that stuff up. And that's the one thing I miss about not collecting physical media. And it looks like this thing's going to have it. As far as why it's not just going to go to Disney Plus, I have a feeling this involves licensing deals that go all the way back to the first Avatar. Because I fully believe Disney would probably like nothing more than to say, oh, hey, the 3rd biggest film in history, watch it only on Disney Plus. Come subscribe today. You know Disney would love to do that. But I have a feeling, and again, I don't have any independent information that verifies this, so understand this is just me speculating. But I have a feeling this has to do with absolute distribution and licensing deals that go all the way back to the first Avatar that, hey, somebody signs up, but this is if you do Avatar 2, which they obviously knew they were going to do, 3, 4, whatever, it's probably going to do this. I think at the end of the day, it'll end up on Disney Plus, but obviously people are going to be able to buy it on these other platforms. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this in a world of shrinking theatrical windows. This is a movie that decided to take its good old sweet time, much like Top Gun Maverick did, in getting out to home video possibilities. 3 hours of bonus footage, 4K Ultra HD, Dolby Atmos sound. What's standing out to you the most about this report?
Well, look, like you just said, special features. I mean, I spent 20 years of my life making special features, and it's really nice to see.
If only you had won a couple of Saturn Awards for doing that.
I know, but I think that it's really nice to see, because I think, look, John, a film like this is so groundbreaking from a technological standpoint that for the historical record alone, having the behind the scenes documented, I think is really, really, important. And not just because I worked on Lord of the Rings, but then some of that team went on and worked on The Hobbit, which I didn't work on. But The Hobbit, those special features really show what does it mean at that time when Peter Jackson was making The Hobbit, in terms of the technology, in terms of the way it's done, in terms of everybody. It celebrates the contributions of everybody on these kinds of films. And I love seeing that we're getting a lot of it, which means that they put the money and they had somebody behind the scenes shooting the material, which is really the problem. You have to gather that material in order to make special features. And a lot of people don't want to pay for the manpower that it takes to do those things. And to see this is very exciting. And that it's part of the digital download is great too. I mean, I obviously want the physical version of it, but it's really great that they're doing this. Kudos to 20th Century Studios and kudos to Disney Home Entertainment or whatever they're called now, Buena Vista Home Entertainment. I don't know what their distribution arm is called, but it's great to see them do this. It's really exciting, and I can't wait to see these special features, dude. All
right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this Avatar 2, The Way of Water, the third biggest film in cinematic history, is coming out at the end of the month, 3 hours bonus, 4K Ultra HD, Dolby Atmos. What part of that is appealing to you the most? Maybe you didn't even like the movie all that much and this doesn't mean anything to you. That's cool too. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to our final main topic here today, and that is this. One of the, maybe it's fair to say, the most highly anticipated film of March, because March is a packed month, man. I'm heading out tomorrow night to go see a doubleheader of Scream 6 and 65. And I'm looking forward to both of them very much. And then we still got Dungeons and Dragons coming. But I think it's safe to say, especially amongst a lot of film fans, the most anticipated movie of the month is John Wick Chapter 4. People are wanting to see themselves some John Wick. And I've been waiting to see John Wick ever since the end of the third one. I love this franchise. I love hanging out. Now, I've been a little, dismayed. I just don't know if this thing is something that can be a 3 hour long movie. And so that was one of my little bit of worries going into it, because we heard the runtime is bumping up and getting close to 3 hours long. And longer does not equal better. So I've been a little bit nervous about it. I know some people have been nervous about it too. Well, the first reactions for this movie have now come out, and they're all saying, the runtime ain't no problem. And some people I've talked to are even saying this is the best of the John Wick franchise so far. We can go over to my screen on this, and we're going to read some of the reactions that have come out of John Wick. We got Caitlin who writes, Chad Stahelski brings it to the next level with John Wick 4. Mind-blowing action sequences and the fantastic world building continues. Keanu kills it, but Donnie Yen is a scene stealer. By the way, you're going to hear Donnie Yen's name brought up a lot, because apparently to a lot of people, he just stole the show. Joseph wrote, John Wick Chapter 4 is intense throughout the entire film. Kane, Donnie Yen's character, steals every scene he's in, and as expected, the action in this film is next level. The film definitively left me wanting more. Lastly, there's a post-credit scene I recommend you staying for. Eric Eisenberg over at Cinema Blend. Cinematical doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. RIP to that old great site. Eric Eisenberg writes, I had reservations about John Wick Chapter 4, nearly 3 hour runtime, but the movie earns it. It's an epic with smart pacing that never lets the action feel exhausting, and the set pieces are phenomenal. Great cast, series of newcomers, but Donnie Yen, there it is again, is the real MVP. We move on to Aaron, who writes, John Wick 4 is incredible, a symphony of controlled and carefully choreographed violence. Every shot in this movie is interesting. The cast is great. The action is beyond impressive. And with such a long running time, it never feels as though I want less of what's taking place. Ian Sandwell writes, John Wick Chapter 4 is absolutely huge. Yes, it's long, but it's outrageously good set pieces, more than make up for it. A slick, brutal, and stylish action epic that sees Keanu Reeves push himself further than before, and with moments that'll have fans talking. One last one here. We'll do Courtney Howard, who writes, brawny, bold, and badass. John Wick 4 brilliantly balances vested stakes with an absolutely spectacular high-octane thrill ride, a soaring, searing, scorching chapter in the saga, the wildest time you'll have at a movie this year, a pure adrenaline rush. And it just goes on and on and on and on. I did not hear... now, granted, again, with first social media reactions, people tend to like to focus on the positive, right? Like even coming out of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, a lot of people just strictly focused on Jonathan Majors as great as Kang, right? And then when you read their full reviews, yeah, they loved Jonathan Majors as Kang, but they also had some issues and what have you. So granted, the first reactions, people who are doing their first reaction, they got one quick tweet they can make. I think it's natural human nature that we like to focus more on what was the positive. I mean, we didn't hear that all the time. I mean, we look at the first reactions coming out of Babylon. Those were not so great. But there's nothing ambiguous about any of these reactions. It's not like they all just focused on Denny Yen. Like every single one of them goes out of the way to say this thing, like it's almost exhausting how much they're saying, this thing's brilliant. This thing's great. And I'll tell you what, as somebody who loves this franchise, that's really nice for me to hear. And again, like I said before, my biggest apprehension going into this movie is the runtime, because the nature of the John Wick films do not feel like they lend themselves to a close to 3-hour runtime. But I love the fact that a lot of these people giving their first reactions are focusing on that, saying the runtime, no problem. The runtime is not a problem in this movie. And I love hearing it. I cannot wait to watch this thing. I'm super excited for it. I've already got my tickets here. What date? What time? I'm not going to tell you which seat I'm going to be in for this one, but yes, I cannot wait for this. Anyway, Rob, you're hearing the first reactions come out of John Wick. I'm not going to lie to you. I expected good because it's John Wick. I wasn't expecting this good, and some people saying this is the best of the franchise, all that kind of stuff. What do you think?
Dude, first of all, I love this franchise. I went and saw it, on a weekend afternoon, the weekend it opened. And I love the first film. I've loved the second film. I've loved the third film. And this, everything I hear about this, it sounds like, it's one of the greatest movies ever made in my mind. It's like, what's not to love? And, I love, one of the things that I don't think gets talked enough and we heard it in some of these comments, is just how good these movies look. The cinematography, the actual look and feel of them with the colors and the way the action is shot. You can see it in these still frames. I mean, I love the look of these movies, and give me 2 hours and 45 minutes of this. I'm so there for this. I can't wait to see this movie, and I'm expecting great things. I mean, it's exactly, and here's the thing, John, you know what I love about this? The people that are making these movies know what we want to see. We want to see mayhem.
Yep.
We want to see fight scenes we haven't seen, and the motorcycles on the bridge in John Wick 3. I'm like, I didn't know I wanted to see that, but of course that's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And everything I've seen in John Wick 4 just tells me. I mean, I would love to sit around with Stileski and be like, dude, what are you going to do next? Like, does he dream about these action sequences? Like, I was thinking we'll get 10,000 ninjas to show up, and John Wick will kill them all on the top of an exploding volcano. I'm like, that sounds really good. I don't know. I can't wait for this. I'm so excited for this. What is it, next weekend?
No, it is actually, if you go back to me here for a second, I've got my, you can't see it, but there's my AMC A-list reservations right now. I got 4 currently lined up.
Zoom in and enhance.
Yeah,
Zoom in and enhance.
Did that.
I got Scream 6, my tickets, there's my tickets for Scream 6, my tickets for Shazam, my tickets for Dungeons and Dragons, the early one, and then down there my ticket for John Wick. It's March 23rd.
Yeah, okay, right, okay, yeah.
It's the day that comes out. March 23rd.
Can't
and
wait.
no, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is not on this list. Right?
It's going to be a double feature.
No, that's where you're going with that.
No.
I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait. I am so stoked for this. I mean, actually, listen, I am legitimately, this is how great this month is. I am legitimately excited about every single one of these movies on here.
Me too.
And you know what? I just saw Operation Fortune, which I enjoyed. You know what? Somebody pointed this out in the comments section. And they're right. It was after I came out of Creed and maybe after Fortune. One of the viewers wrote on things, man, it's really nice to see John liking some movies again. Because it's been a while since I came out of a movie that I
Right.
really like. And lately, though, I've got to see Creed 3. Operation Fortune wasn't great, but I enjoyed it. And now I look here, still coming up this month, Scream 6. I'm not a big Scream guy, but I really like Scream 5. Scream 6, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, Dungeons and Dragons, John Wick, all still this month. I'm so stoked, man. This is a good time to be
It's
a
a
movie
good
fan.
time.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The early reactions now coming out of John Wick Chapter 4 are as sky high as we kind of hope they would be. How do you think it'll turn out? Do you think this is a situation where, depending here, how do you interpret the wording you heard in those responses? Do you think maybe they're just accentuating the positive for now and they'll get more negative once the reviews come out? I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to now open up the super chats and take your live comments and questions. You have a thought, theory, opinion, question, observation, whatever about any of the topics we talked about here today, go ahead and start firing those in, and Rob and I will address those. Remember, do it fairly quickly because we only leave the super chats open for just a couple of minutes, so go ahead and do that now. Now, before we get to those, we're going to take another moment and thank another sponsor of today's show, Ryan Reynolds' own Mint Mobile.
We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process couldn't have been easier, and I can't believe that I am spending less than a third of what I was spending on one of the other major carriers before. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea.
And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show and for being my mobile service provider. All right, guys, with all that out of the way, let's now move on to your live comments and questions. Rob, what do we got up here first?
John Nick Soto says, hi, guys. Today is my birthday. I'm 37 and been listening since 2016.
Wow.
Back on Movie Talk. Cheers. Holds a glass of Zevia and Jameson. All right. And Rob, one of my goals in life is for you to read my script one day. Nick, those are life goals I hope you never reach. Just kidding.
Well, happy birthday to you. As a birthday present, Rob will read your script. Send it in because that's what Rob loves to do.
Oh, boy.
Happy birthday, man. Thanks for spending some of it here with us, and thanks for being around since 2016. I really appreciate it, dude. And again, happy birthday, my friend.
And Zevia and Jameson is actually great.
I've never tried it.
Oh, it's so good. Sam Fisher says, I loved episode 3 of Picard. I actually counted the time from Picard saying sick bay in the turbo lift to him entering sick bay was 17 seconds, maybe 18 seconds. Now, the reason that's so cool is because the name of the episode is 17 Seconds, and there's a story point about that. I didn't know that. I'll check that out. But it's a great episode. Wait till this week. It's the end of Act 1 of Picard, and this last episode of Act 1 is a banger. And
I guess
you'll love it.
I got caught up. So I'm up to episode 3. Episodes 1 and 2, I do not think this show is any better than Picard Season 1. I really don't. Now, episode 3, that reveal as to who's behind everything, that was unexpected and really, really good. So I found myself going, okay.
Yeah.
This looks like fun. Yeah, it's the first time that I felt that. Now, you got to understand, I quite like Picard Season 1. So, but this is the first time that I felt like I'm feeling a little bit more excited for this season, because this season, episode 3 was a banger.
Oh, wait do you see. And the way they set it up, episodes 1 through 4 are Act 1, episodes 5 through 8 are Act 2, and then episodes 9 and 10 are Act 3. It's really set up like a 10-hour movie structurally.
Right.
So everything it really pays off in this episode.
All right, what's next?
Santiago Lugo says, how dare y'all call my favorite book The Great Gatsby a mediocre story? Unbelievable. John Campea, I love you guys almost as much as I love Gatsby Old Sport.
JK is usually just kidding, but maybe he thinks
Oh.
my last name is spelled with a K.
You're right, JK is just kidding.
So what happened was, yesterday, one of our viewers brought up the Leonardo DiCaprio version of Great Gatsby and mentioned that I think it was his wife, that it's his wife's all-time favorite movie. To which I said, I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's great. And Chris doesn't really like it a lot much. She mentioned that too. And I said, I'll be honest with you. I don't love any iteration of Great Gatsby. Like, I think it's fine and it's certainly iconic, but I'm not a big fan of Great Gatsby. I don't know, Rob, what do you think? Do you got a rendition of it that you particularly like?
You know,
best?
it's funny because I think it's been made 3 times, and I like the fact that it's a world that I've never experienced. It's almost like you're watching a science fiction movie about an alien planet you're never going to visit. But yeah, the story to me isn't great. I mean, I understand the unrequited love and all that, but I'll tell you one thing though, John. I did watch the Baz Luhrmann version of it the other day, and there's something about that movie. Maybe it's the artifice of it. It's the big artificial matte paintings and stuff. There's something I like about watching it, and I like Tobey Maguire and I like Leonardo DiCaprio and Joel Edgerton and everybody, and the music. But yeah, it doesn't touch my soul the way other stories do.
Hey, but visually too, you watch that movie and you can tell this is made by the same guy who made Moulin Rouge.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you could just tell. You didn't have to know Baz Luhrmann did it, but you could totally feel that. I just thought Moulin Rouge was a lot
And
better
it looks,
film.
it's great in 3D. I have a version of it in 3D.
I think it's a beautiful looking film.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, what's next?
Jay Bling says, time to bring back the dip our wick jokes for John Wick Chapter 4 because I'm going to dip my wick so deep into this movie.
I will not comment on that. What you do with your wick, if you're a consenting adult, you do with your wick what you like to do with your wick. But all I can tell you is this, dude, I'm so excited for this movie.
Me too.
And I love hearing the responses that the movie's getting and all that kind of stuff. It's funny though. I noticed when certain movies get great early reactions, there are groups of people who don't want that movie to be good. So they'll just come out and say, oh, they're all paid off. The people with the first reactions are paid off, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as the early reactions for a movie they are looking forward to come out first, oh, listen to these honest reports. They're completely honest now. Their honesty depends on whether it's a movie they're looking forward to or not. But anyway, just a fun observation about our little fun world. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, I started watching Picard Season 3 without Season 1 and 2, and only a handful of Next Generation episodes. Does anyone call him just Jean or Luc? Or is it always Jean-Luc?
It is
No, it's
always
always
Jean-Luc.
Jean-Luc.
I mean, that's his name. It's not like people call me Jonna.
Jonna.
Jonna. It's Jonathan.
I mean, even Q
Yeah,
would call him Jean-Luc
that's right.
or Mon Capitaine, but it was always Jean-Luc.
Absolutely.
All right, what's next?
Drew Yepson says, super stoked Nintendo is making movies. As someone covered in Zelda tats, I'm eagerly awaiting for that movie. They have a lot of source material to pull from. Imagine the trailer ending in that legendary theme song.
I mean,
I can imagine it.
First of all, let's see if the Mario Brothers movie is any good. Right? I think it looks great. I went on record yesterday. We even put up a short video about it that I believe Mario Brothers. Now, granted, I reserve the right to change my mind once I see it, but all other things being equal, I think Mario Brothers is going to be the #1 box office film of the year. I think it'll pass Indiana Jones. I think it'll pass Fast 10. But again, this is all depending on if it's good or not. Listen, I will reserve my excitement that Nintendo is making movies till we see if they do one good here. Now, they're teaming up with a terrific partner in Illumination Studios, the studio behind the Despicable Me franchise and Minions and things like that. They're terrific. And I think this movie looks good. However, if they end up doing a Zelda/Link movie, I can tell you right now it's going to piss a lot of hardcore fans off. Because I'm sorry to break it to you, but if they do a movie, Link is going to talk in the movie. They're not going to have their lead character not speak. And I just already know that there's people who, in principle, the Puritans, if you will, are going to get their cornholes all puckered up. They're going to get all puckered up. Link's not supposed to talk. Listen, you're making a movie. He's going to need to speak.
Pesha, I am Link.
Jar Jar Link.
You know what? Give him freaking Watto's voice from Star Wars. Ah, yes, the Triforce. Yes. But they're going to have him speak. So just be prepared for that if they do it. All right, what's next?
M. Jada says, what a pleasant twist to the Rob Hates New Trek arc. I know it's shocking, right? I mean, what can I tell you? I mean, I love great characters and a great story, and that's what we're getting.
All right, what's next?
Matt says, with Ben Affleck movie Air coming out next month, do you ever see Matt Damon getting behind the camera in his future?
If he does.
I mean, has Matt Damon ever directed? I don't know. Ray, maybe you can look at Matt Damon's IMDb, see if he's. I don't know if he's directed before. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be something he's particularly felt the urge. Obviously, he's a great writer. He writes. It doesn't seem like he's got the itch to get behind the camera. But I'll tell you what, Ben Affleck, just surprised. Like, I know a lot of people don't like it, but he just turned out to be one of the best directors there is in the business.
And Air is his 5th movie.
Yeah.
He's not like some,
And
newcomer.
if it's as good as it looks, then his hot streak just continues.
Looks like he's more interested in producing.
Damon?
Yeah.
Producing, writing, that sort of thing. I think he sees the rule of being in the director's chair, and it's like, why would I want to do that? But you know what? I will, for the rest of their careers, whenever Ben Affleck and Matt Damon decide to do something together, I will be interested, and I will watch it. Particularly if one of them or both of them are writing and directing or whatever. I'll always be on board for that. All right, what's next?
Jeff says, just found out one of my favorite authors, Roald Dahl. His books are getting cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned this will spread to other authors. Thoughts?
Don't really care. As long as it doesn't fundamentally change the story. And with the Roald Dahl stuff, I believe I saw a quote. I was watching a news broadcast, might have been from AP or Reuters, but they were talking about how the family's all for it. Roald Dahl's estate and family is like, yep, this is perfectly fine. I mean, look, in an ideal world, history, there's a great scene in the movie Thank You for Smoking by Jason Reitman. There's a great scene where I believe it's, who played the shoveler? William H. Macy. I believe it's William H. Macy is this crusader to get rid of smoking, right? Which something is I'm all for. I'm all for getting rid of smoking. I mean, I watched my family member. I watched my mom smoke something. I hated it, right? I've never smoked. I don't know why people do it, but whatever. So I'm all for the idea of getting rid of smoking. But William H. Macy played this character and there's a scene near the end of Thank You for Smoking where he's literally, they're trying to edit out scenes of people smoking in movies in the past and stuff like that. Here's my thing. I don't believe the key to changing present day behaviors is to try to rewrite the past. I don't think trying to rewrite the past is the way you're going to change present day behaviors, even present day behaviors that should change. I don't think trying to scrub them out of history is either, well, most importantly, I don't think it's effective. And I don't think going back and taking things out of things that are history is going to make a positive impact on things that are happening today. If it was effective, I think if it showed it made a difference, Rob, I might be okay with it. But it doesn't make any difference. So, look, I don't care that they're going back and changing stuff up, particularly if the family estate is okay with it. Whatever, that's fine. I would just say to the people doing it, do you think this is actually going to make a difference today that you go back and make those changes to something that has historically been the fact? And by the way, when you change history, you are removing our opportunity to learn from history, right? Like there's some horrible things that have happened in the past. I don't ever want them to stop teaching World War II. We need to know what happened in World War II. Kids need to be taught about what happens when tyrants and things like that and what can happen in the world. We need to learn the negative things and all that kind of stuff. People who try to scrub that up, you're not doing anybody any favors. So I don't know. That's just kind of, that is my uneducated on this issue take on it. So take that for what it's worth. All right, what's next?
Stubborn McShave says, do you think Disney may license out some shows or movies for a limited time? Maybe something like what Warner Brothers have done with Amazon. Disney surely needs the revenue. Well, they are to home video companies.
Yeah, but that might, I suspect that is, they had no choice. I think that has to do with if we're talking about Avatar home release.
No.
Oh, what do you think?
They're old. So Disney had their division Hollywood Pictures that was R-rated.
Right.
And they are licensing out movies like Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
Right.
To different companies, home video. I'm talking about for home video.
Right.
That aren't them. And which I thought was kind of interesting, but I know that obviously it's a way they can get a revenue stream, and they don't know quite yet what they're going to do with all these movies. So, I mean, license them out for a while. I don't think they're going to license out their classic movies, though.
No, and ultimately, whatever licensing they'll do, it'll be limited.
Yeah. Because
ultimately, they always want everything under their roof. Right now, they don't really have an outlet for some of their content, but no, I don't. Listen, Disney's the same company that owns Marvel, that saw Marvel go through this decades-long struggle to get back their IP. And Disney understands long-term, you make more money with the content that's under your own roof. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, what's next?
Jay Master says, breaking news. Per the Hollywood Reporter, John Barenthal returning as the Punisher for Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow on the show. I mean, again, that's a story that I'm going to want us to read into and understand more before we just try to wing it. Again, this is going to be a Punisher that will be Disneyfied. This will not be the R-rated Punisher that I know and love. Not that I don't think John Barenthal, they can't do a great Punisher in a PG-13 Disney Plus environment, but again, we'll talk more about it on the show tomorrow. All right, what's next?
Brand Demand says, hey guys, anyone watching on an OLED? I got the C2 last month, and nothing has had a greater positive impact on my at-home film watching experience. I have an OLED, and I agree with you, as long as the source material is properly formatted. But yes, nothing is better than watching something in HDR Dolby Vision.
I'll tell you what, when I was looking at my new TVs, I took a look at an OLED, and it looked great. I'll be honest with you, though, I didn't see that much of a difference. And there was also a $700 price difference.
Right.
And I honestly did not see much of a difference myself. So I went with the $700 cheaper one, and I love my TV, but
I'm telling you, video games look crazy.
Is that where it really stands out?
Well, that's where I noticed it the most, when I go from my 24-inch monitor and then I want to play on the OLED. That's where it's like, whoa, it's crazy clear.
That's where you see the big jump.
Yeah, it's also
Okay,
really
interesting.
dependent on the source material. You have to have, if you're looking at something that's in standard 4K, that's one thing. But if you have something that's HDR enhanced and Dolby Vision enhanced, it can be pretty spectacular. But again, it's really relying on the source material itself.
All right, what's next?
Harv's K says Funko is dumping $30 million worth of unsold Pops to a landfill like Atari's ET cartridges. Pops may finally be going the way of the Beanie Baby.
I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Here's my thoughts on this. So Ann and I just walked into another brand new store that is just loaded with Pops, and that place was filled. I think what happened, though, is they just have far too many Pops now. Like, they are making Pops of everything. Like, video game characters, like minor characters in minor games are getting their own Pop figures and stuff like that. I just think the problem there is that they just make too much.
Yep.
But I have no problem watching when I see their new Captain America variant or their new Batman variant. Those things fly off the shelf. But yeah, we got Kinko DeVeda, who when I asked, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
Oh, he appears in Act 3 of the game so-and-so that came out in 2014. Like, all right.
Kinko the Beta.
And this is,
My God.
Or they just
I got a tattoo right over here of that. I mean, like, who buy these?
Kinko the Beta. What the heck? Is
different
that?
different
I'm
from
making up
Kinky
as I
DeVita.
go. What do you want?
Kinky DeVita is a different person.
All right, what's next?
CJ Rebirth says, "Guess I'll be seeing you again on D&D Sunday, John."
It's going to be a great one. I'm very excited. I mean, I hope this movie's good. I have no idea if it will
It
be or
looks
not.
great.
I certainly hope it is because, man, that last D&D movie's got to be redeemed. All right, what's next?
Jay says, "Is it too late for a Walking Dead movie with Rick Grimes and Michonne?
Yes.
Do you think it could make money at the box office?"
No. Listen, this is a franchise that's already long past its shelf date life. It's long past its shelf
But
date.
they are doing the Rick Grimes spinoff.
Yes, they are. They've got several spinoffs still coming. They are going to try to beat this dead horse until it's nothing but meat and bone. They're going to ride this train as much as they can. No, nobody's going to go see a movie about it. If they could do a movie for it, you'll get a few hardcores, but nah, it wouldn't make any money. Way past its date. All right, what's next?
I just wish I had some of those OG comics.
Josh Becker says, "I think Avatar will be on Disney Plus later, maybe because they're going back to the old format with digital first, like Warner Brothers with HBO Max movies. There has been talk of that, by the way.
What do you mean?
In terms of their distribution strategy, like taking some more time to make that sweet rental cash before putting it on a streaming because they're losing money going directly to streaming.
Still, it's an odd choice.
Well, because it's a 20th
Because
Century Fox,
you're making it longer for the transition to happen by doing that, right?
it might be because it's 20th Century Studios and they had previously existing.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're 100%.
You
right
had said
on
that earlier in the show. I think you're right.
That's why it sounded so good then.
Yeah.
It just sounded even better coming from you. That's all.
Well, you did say it.
All right,
The
what's
echo
next?
chamber has a ring to it.
Mike Dude says John Barenthal was just confirmed to be returning on Daredevil Born Again. Thoughts?
Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow on the show once we have a chance to actually read the story and get some more details on it. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, what did you think of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trailer? I love it.
I think we know.
I'm glad you did. Because it's garbage.
These two curmudgeons hate
Yeah,
it.
But
no,
hey,
these two.
listen,
no
that's the
soul.
beautiful thing about subjectivity of film. We can all like different things. And if it worked for you, that's awesome. I'm not going to rain on your parade. If you're asking me for my thoughts, I thought it looked like should be playing in a double feature with Sesame Street, the movie. It looked fucking not young. It looked child. It looked childish. It looked stupid. It just makes me yearn for the days of the original, true, real Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the original black and white.
I agree with you.
Like
We've
I
never
want
seen that.
movie. No, they've never done it right.
Who hurt you two? Huh?
So many people.
What happened?
I mean, look, freaking, who's the one
Come
with
on,
the blue?
dude.
Who's the one with the blue?
Leonardo.
Blue, Leonardo.
Come on. He doesn't even know it's Ninja Turtles. Come on.
Like Leonardo with his voice like this. He sounded like he was about to ask for recess. I don't know. It looked pathetic to me. But listen,
$1 billion.
again, I will I will say what I said yesterday. I thought every once in a while, 9 times out of 10, I think something that looks like crap turns out to be crap. But it's that delicious 1 time out of 10 where you think something looks horrible and then you watch it and it pleasantly surprises you. That's one of the best experiences as a film or TV fan. And that's what happened with me with Harley Quinn. I thought that looked like hot garbage. I had zero interest in Harley Quinn. I thought it looked terrible. And now it's one of my favorite things out there. And maybe this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing can be the next thing that does that.
Let's make a bet right here.
All right.
If you think the movie is even slightly okay, you wear a Mutant Mayhem t-shirt.
Why would I do that? I
for one
want
whole
to
week
like
on
it.
the show.
He'll just say it sucks.
For one whole week on the
But
show.
I want to like it. Why would I make that
Oh,
bet?
I'm just saying.
I mean, you got to remember, I go into everything wanting to like it. I hope it's good.
Me too.
I just don't think it will be.
Yeah, it's going to be terrible. I'm just playing. I'm just kidding.
Facade drops.
I thought the trailer looked good.
Yeah, we're just trolling you guys. It's going to suck.
All right, what's next?
Nexus Fuel says, hey, Rob, how many scripts have you read in your absence? I haven't read. Well, that's not true. I actually read 2 scripts, to be honest. But
Courtesy of us.
no.
You're welcome.
I did.
All right, what's next?
Cutter Hale says, did you see the social media reactions for Scream 6? They're saying it's the second best movie in the franchise. I have tickets to see it in 2D and 3D.
Listen, I'm not a big fan of the Scream franchise, but that last one, I mean, Ray, you were with me.
Yeah.
I walked out of it going, well, damn, I actually had fun. That was fun. The last one was good, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And if it can be as good, look, I didn't need it to be the best in the franchise. I don't need any of that. By the way, I don't think the first one's all that great either. I mean, I think it's good. I like the first one. I'm a fan of it, but I don't think it's all that good. But if this one can just be at least as good as 5, then then I'm going to have a good time. And I'll tell you what, the trailers have been good. I love Jenna Ortega. And if they can make it that good, I'll be happy because it's looking pretty all right. I got my tickets for it. I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to go. Seeing it tomorrow. All right. What's next?
Scotty Hale says, if possible, wanted Rob's opinion of The Last of Us episode 8 since he was not on yesterday. Did he love it? Dude, I loved it. I mean, it might have condensed that part of the story a little bit, but I thought it was incredible. And I'll tell you something, that moment at the end when Ellie unleashes, what she does. I mean, that performance, it was, this was an episode that was about Ellie, and it was about Ellie's certain transformation, call it her loss of innocence, if you will. How can you lose your innocence in this world? But all the performances were stunning. I was creeped out by it. I loved it. And what I've loved, John, about this show is every episode has been different. Yeah. It almost feels like we're watching an anthology show that has the same characters in it. I'm just stunned by the writing, the direction, everything about it. And the performances in this episode were really great. And I love the idea about making, I forget the character's name,
David?
making him a preacher.
But a fake one.
Well, yeah, but I like that whole idea because he believed it himself in a way. Like I've had a conversion or whatever.
But he didn't. Like, that's the brilliant part of it. Is by the time you get to the end of the episode, he didn't believe any of that at all.
No, of course. I mean, he was using it because that guy was probably a serial killer, a predator, horrible, and when he lets his guard down and is takes her hand, I'm like, this is.
See, this is what I said on the open spoiler discussion yesterday, and we are talking spoilers of it now because this was a TV show that came out 2 days ago, so so you should have seen it by now. But to me, it was somebody wrote in and asked me a question, said, well, David said to her he knows that she's dangerous. How can he know she's dangerous? He just saw her pull a trigger a couple times. It's not. How would he know? And I said this because much like game recognizes game. Remember, he had to sit down while James went off to go get the penicillin. That was probably a good 2+ hours that they had to sit there. And he spent like 2 hours with her. And like game recognizes game, this is my thought. Much like Dexter, a monster recognizes another monster. There is a part, especially if you know the future story of Last of Us, there is a part of Ellie. I'm not saying Ellie's a monster, but there is a part of Ellie that is. And that monster recognized the monster in her. And that is what to me, and by the way, this was an episode, I said this yesterday too, this episode marked the transition, I believe, in the story of Last of Us from being a story that was primarily about Joel to this story is now about Ellie. This is now Ellie's story. And whereas Joel was the main character and Ellie was that main secondary character. That's now been reversed. Ellie is now the main character, and Joel is the main secondary character. And it was just such a pivotal episode, and I loved it so much.
It was, and
the thing that sucks is we only got 1 episode left.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, it sucks.
I feel like we've barely seen any of it. We barely scratched the surface, but what a phenomenal episode it was. Loved it.
All right, what's next?
Cincinnati's 5-star barber.
There he is.
Never thought I'd catch Chris Evans' cap slipping, but John, please kindly take your right hand and fix him because he's slipping.
Oh, he is slipping. Look at that. You'd have seen he's actually falling back a little bit. It's a little out of reach right now. I'll get that adjusted.
No, he just can't. He's off balance because he just saw the trailer for Ghosted.
He's like, I can't believe I did that. All right,
just toss back a few. That's all. He's relaxing.
Vess, aka Mr. No Days Off, says, well, it looks like it's happening. The sequel that is way too late and unwanted. Tron 3, aka Tron Ares, starring Jared Leto. I don't know how to feel about it, but it's more entertainment, I guess. Bring on the filthy.
I just don't think the Tron movie's all that. I mean, look, the last Tron movie, which is now what? You know what somebody said today that nearly made me fall over? Somebody brought up The Hangover, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, that movie's 20 years old now." You know, it was from a Saturday Night Live skit. I said, "Well, it's not 20 years old." And Ann looked at me. She goes, "Yeah, it is." Ray, can you look up the actual release date of that?
Yeah.
That nearly made me fall over because I still feel like The Hangover came out like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, the last
2009. So not
okay,
quite
sorry.
there.
Okay, 2009. So it's only what? It was only 14 years ago. Okay. Anyway, so long ass time ago. The last Tron movie was great Daft Punk soundtrack, and I didn't think the movie was all that good. I honestly don't know why some people, and I don't need to know. That's fine. I'm just saying for me, I don't get the enthusiasm some people have for Tron. But listen, if they're going to do another one, going out and getting an Academy Award winning actor who I don't care what anybody says, you may find him weird and a little off-putting and whatever. You can say what you want about Jared Leto. But the moment you say he's not a good actor, I just think you're crazy. He is a highly skilled, talented actor. He may be a few marbles short, yes, but he's a very talented actor. And yeah, so listen, whenever you tell me you're going to do a movie project, I have my apprehensions too about a new Tron, but it ain't because they got an Academy Award winner to be a star in it. I just don't see the point of making the movie in general. I don't know, Rob, what do you think? You did some kind of documentary.
Yeah,
on
I
the
made
original Tron.
a documentary, a feature-length documentary on the making of Tron that's on the Blu-ray. And I have to tell you, I was really disappointed in Tron Legacy, only because, I mean, it's beautifully made. The acting is all fine, but it was the story. You know, it had nothing. The first Tron was made pre-internet, and what has happened, how our civilization was revolutionized by the entertainment revolution itself. Tron Legacy, when they decided to say, "Oh, I've made this thing called the grid, and I've separated this part of the internet from the rest of the world," it really had nothing to say about what our culture, what had happened to our culture. And I thought, what a great, like all great science fiction should do. It should sort of comment somehow on our world today, allegorically so. And I thought it really fell short. It was cool to look at, and that Daft Punk soundtrack is amazing, but it didn't have much to say. And for a science fiction movie, it was pretty empty-headed. It was all flash and no substance. And that bummed me out.
All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, Rob, you and I both know Worf's changeling friend is Odo. Well, of course. You know, he said a man of honor. I totally agree with you, 100%.
Oh yeah, there's nobody else it could be.
Yeah,
there's literally not anybody else it could be. That's clearly
I
it.
thought it was a nice way to work Renee Augerbenois.
Which who unfortunately passed away a few years ago.
It was nice.
All right, what's next?
Jay said, if you could have Druckmann and Mazin write a script for one of these superhero movies, which one would you like to see them do the most? 1, Gambit, 2, Nightwing, or 3, The Punisher?
Relevant, doesn't matter. You could tell me they were doing the thing for Squirrel Girl, and it would be all right. Sign me up. So it literally would not matter. Any comic book property they want. Hey, look, it doesn't even matter if it's a comic book property. Name anything.
Yeah.
A new Great Gatsby, done. Sign me up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can't be any worse than it is now. Sign me up.
Jesus.
I was looking for a reaction.
Man.
So it literally does not matter. Does not matter.
Daya Alashiror says, what will the next $2 billion movie be? I don't see anything until Avatar 3. What do you think?
When's Avatar 3 schedule come out? 2025?
2024. Or no, pardon me. No, 2024. Christmas.
That's right.
Christmas of 2024.
So Kang Dynasty does not come out till when? Is Kang Dynasty 2025 and Secret Wars 2026? Okay. You know what? Even if Kang Dynasty was coming out first, I think the next $2 billion movie is Avatar.
2025 is Kang Dynasty.
Is Kang Dynasty okay? So, but even if Kang Dynasty was coming out before, I don't think Kang Dynasty right now, the state of the MCU, I don't think Kang Dynasty is a $2 billion movie. Now, it's got a lot of movies to come that can change that between now and when Kang Dynasty comes out. I think it's Avatar. I don't necessarily think it's going to, be a $2.5 billion or anything like that. But yeah, man, it's Avatar. Secret Wars, maybe. But again, we're going to need to see the MCU turn things around a bit here if they hope Kang Dynasty can be another $2 billion film. Because if Kang Dynasty were to come out 6 months from now, it ain't getting $2 billion, which is fine. You can make $1.8 billion. It's still one of the most successful films of all time. But if you're asking me about $2 billion films, Kang Dynasty ain't going to be it, at least not right now. I don't know, Rob, what do you think?
I don't think so either. I think Avatar has it in the bag. I mean, I don't necessarily think Avatar 3 is going to necessarily surpass Avatar 2, but definitely it's probably going to gross. I mean, if it delivers, and I'm sure it's going to deliver, never bet against James Cameron, I think it's got to be Avatar 3, whatever that's going to be.
You know what? I might change my mind. There might be another film before that gets to $2 billion.
Not Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers.
Okay, well, all right.
Now, let me put it this way. Let me be very, very clear. I am not saying I believe Super Mario Brothers will hit $2 billion. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is if somebody wanted me to bet $1,000 that it wouldn't hit $2 billion, I wouldn't take that bet.
It has to be good, though.
I'm not. Oh, no. It has to be great. But the worldwide appeal, the multi-generational appeal, the family-friendly nature of that movie, I'm just saying, I do not believe it's going to hit $2 billion. But if somebody said, okay, I'll bet you $1,000 it doesn't, and I go, oh, I wouldn't put $1,000 on that. I would not fall over in shock if it did hit $2 billion. I'm just saying, don't count it out. I'm saying, don't count it out.
Ninja Turtles? Okay.
Ninja Turtles, got it. 100%. All right, what's next?
Mark24 Gaming just sent in a super chat.
Thank you, Mark24.
156 Impulse sent in a super chat and says, I saw Creed 3. I have mixed feelings. I did not miss Rocky. That's how I feel. Love you guys.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't miss Rocky either. I love Rocky. I love Stallone. But, I mean, he really stopped being Rocky a while ago, right? And this is now, Ray pointed this out before, Creed 3 is the transition. This is no longer Rocky's story. It is now Adonis's story. And now I will say, though, there are a couple of moments, one in particular, that Rocky isn't there. And it's like, why on earth would Rocky not? One scene in particular that it makes no sense that Rocky wouldn't be here for that. So he was kind of noticeable by his absence a couple of times, but I never once felt, you know what this movie needs? Rocky to be in it.
Yeah.
I never felt that. And that's no disrespect to the character or how much I love the character. It's just an acknowledgement that that character's time is now done and has a forever engraved place in the history of Hollywood as one of the great characters of all time. But that character's now done. And we've moved on to Adonis. And guess what? I think it's not that far off that Adonis is going to pass it on to somebody else. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, what's next?
And Bang says, do you think there will be different variants of Wolverine? Nice to see you guys again. Bring on the filthy.
What do you think, Rob?
I think probably, because why not? It might be interesting. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing a council of Wolverines of all different kinds of Wolverines. Maybe in all of the different outfits. Because look, this is going to be a romp. It's going to be a romp. It's not going to be Secret Wars or Infinity War. I expect it to be a heck of a good time, and I could see even Wolverine fighting iterations of himself. I mean, he did it in Logan, but seeing all the different versions of Wolverine in different costumes, that'd be fun.
I think if you're going to ask why not, though, it might be because the audience is rejecting it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it's certainly, listen, I would not count it out. It's certainly possible.
Yeah. I mean, or I'd love to see him put on different versions of the costume, even if there's not multiples of Wolverine. It might be interesting to see him even do a montage where he has to decide what he's going to wear.
All right.
Something.
What's next?
The Jay Schrey Way says Pattinson was spotted on the Penguin set today.
Really? That's because the first pictures have been coming out.
That'll rhyme.
They've started filming the Penguin series.
Yeah.
With Colin Farrell. Loved him in the Batman. I had not heard that Robert Pattinson is making any appearances in it, but if he is, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
I mean, but where's that report coming from? Is it coming from a Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, or is it coming from Augustus Gas Station Movie Reviews.fart? Like that's what I want to know. But
Well, we got Mr. Reeves right here.
I mean, let's ask Matt.
Just ask him.
Yeah. Why aren't you on set?
No comment.
No comment. All right, what's next?
Calvin Patel says Netflix is making a rom-com with some A-listers for $130 million. Why? Laugh out loud.
I don't know which one you're talking about, but here's the thing. They had a little movie out that I admittedly did not watch. It was Reese Witherspoon and That 70 Show boy.
That 70 Show, boy.
Wait, 70 Show boy? What's his name?
Wasn't Kutcher?
Yeah. Where
Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah,
right.
where they switch the
Called
places.
Your Place or Mine.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch it, so I can't say whether it's good or bad. I can say it looked terrible, but I don't know if it is terrible. I haven't watched it. But that was like the number one thing on their streaming service for like a week and a half. And that's a long time for a Netflix thing to stay at number one. So and guess what? Listen, Netflix makes terrible movies. Once in
That's
a
their
blue
slogan.
moon. Like, I don't mean to cast a big blanket, but Netflix movies are terrible. Every once in a while, they'll put out a big winner, whether it's like an Irishman or whether it's Old Guard or something. One out of every 20 or 30 they do. But they've had some not bad luck making some rom-com stuff. Again, Always Be My Maybe, I thought was wonderful. That was a really good one. I don't know if it's any good, but they've had some success with Your Place or Mine. So I could see them leaning into that. But can I use that to piggyback into something that I just want to mention that's completely off topic, but talking about like comedy and stuff like that? I have not been watching the new Jason Segel, Harrison Ford series called Shrinking
Yeah.
on Apple TV Plus. My wife started watching it a few weeks ago, and she loves it. She says, you really got to watch it. So, okay. This past weekend, Ann and I went for an overnight camp, and we're laying in bed, and I got my iPad open. So let's watch the first episode of Shrinking. I'm now 4 episodes into Shrinking. This show is fucking fantastic. This show is fantastic. I don't know if any of you guys or any of you guys in the live chat have been watching this. I put it, you know how much I love Ted Lasso. I put it on par with Ted Lasso. This is a wonderfully written show. Harrison Ford rules. Jason Segel is fantastic in it. It is absolutely wonderful. If you guys haven't started watching Shrinking, check it out. You will be hooked 1 episode in. The characters are fantastic. The writing is next level. It's heartwarming, but hilarious. And again, Harrison Ford. I thought when I saw the first promos about this that Harrison Ford was just collecting a paycheck to do something like this. Harrison Ford could be in the running for an Emmy for comedy series in this. He is wonderful in this. Watch it. It's fantastic. I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's really that good. All right. Anyway, what's next?
Cutter Hale says, pump for John Wick 4. I have D-Box tickets. Can't wait.
D-Box.
Ray had a bad D-Box experience. Didn't you and Ann and your sister and your other sister
What's
go
a
to a
D-Box?
D-Box screening and have a bad time?
Where you dip your wick.
Oh, no, that's not D-Box. That's HDX.
Or 4DX?
4DX.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so it's not
Hotbox.
D-Box.
D-Box is
Okay.
something different. I don't know what that is.
I take it back. Whoever does D-Box, I apologize.
I think
It
that's
did not mean to
Cineplex or
besmirch you.
Cineworld, one of them two.
Yeah, I just, that's right. You guys went to see Top Gun Maverick in 4DX. And your sister Olive, your and Ann's sister
Yeah.
Olive, she did not have a good time.
Because she didn't know what it was. Like, it was 15 minutes into the movie, she was like, what the heck is this? Like, we've
Didn't
been
it
moving
spray you in the face or something?
Yeah. So we had to turn that off. Because, like, the very first scene, there's, like, just water flowing in
You
our
can
face.
turn off, like, you can control that.
Yeah, there's, like, a button you can turn that part off.
I've never been in a
I'm gonna
4DX
turn it on,
screen.
everybody
That's
sees.
interesting.
But there was some cool parts where when they crashed in the snow, then all the snow started coming down. Like, I
Oh
thought
my
that was
gosh,
cool.
okay,
Come on.
that's kinda
I
interesting.
was-
What'd you see it for? What movie?
Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Miguel Corrado says, says, hello from Manila. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
Salamat. Appreciate that.
Salamat.
Thank you very much. All right, what's next?
Life Mastery Mindset says, like in the animated Hulk Planet, or Planet Hulk, do you think the MCU will separate Banner from Hulk to bring OG Hulk back?
You know, Rob, we were talking about this yesterday. Somebody asked you, they got to do a World War Hulk movie. Not with this Hulk.
Right. Yeah, no.
Not with fucking Family Barbecue Hulk. Who, remember that shot at the end of She-Hulk where Hulk shows up at Family Barbecue with his stupid Hawaiian shirt and his son with a freaking ridiculous haircut and blah, blah, blah. That Hulk you can't do a World War Hulk with. They gotta somehow bring Hulk back before you want to do anything like that.
I think they could incorporate the fact that Banner loses control and the schism, it breaks him.
There he is.
He loses
Family Barbecue Hulk. That ain't World War Hulk.
No.
Maybe he's just holding back the rage, and this is all a facade.
Listen, you know what? That is a great plot device they just suggested. Separate Bruce from Hulk.
Sort of like Superman when he separated and he was
And you
evil.
got drunk Superman?
Yeah.
I'm Superman.
Breaking mirrors.
You knew he was drunk because his Superman costume was dirty. That's how you knew that Superman. What was
When
that?
they fought in
Superman
the
3? Superman 3, the one with Richard
Yeah.
Pryor?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
All right.
coming out in 4K.
All right, what's next?
Matt Fitch
On OLED,
said, The
baby.
Last of Us 1 and 2 and Ocarina of Time are probably my favorite video games, but Resident Evil 2 and 4 are up there. Have you seen any of Resident Evil 4 remake online? It looks great.
No, but we had there's an online film pundit named Gotham Geek Girl who was out here visiting us from New York last week, and she was talking about the remake stuff is like really next level. So I know she was really big into that stuff. I've never played any of the remake. I haven't even seen a lot of the remake stuff.
Yeah.
But I've heard good things. So maybe.
Yeah, why not?
All right. What's next?
Jamie Rell says, I believe you'd like the 2003 Ninja Turtles show. Very much
Unlikely.
in the vein of Batman the Animated Series. 7 seasons total on Paramount Plus. Only watch the first 5, though. They're the most mature take since the comics.
By the way, Jamie, super chatting in $20 with that. Thank you so much, Jamie. Appreciate that. I'm not familiar with this one.
me either.
You're not familiar with it either? You're when you say it's in the vein of the original Batman animated series, and it's the most
That's
mature
got my
one.
interest. I haven't watched it either.
That, you know what? I will check it out. I have Paramount Plus. I will check it out. And listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't have a lot of hope because I don't think they've ever done Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles right, other than the original black and white comics. But I will check it out because that does sound rather appealing, Jamie. So thank you for the tip on that. I appreciate that, man. All right, what's next?
Dr. Stinky says, I saw Sharper. I'm very mixed. 6 out of 10. I did too.
Which one's Sharper?
Sharper is the movie that's on Apple Plus that Julianne Moore produced. It's got Sebastian
Oh, that's
Stan
right. You
in
were
it.
very mixed on that,
It's-
were you
yeah,
not?
it's got Justice Smith in it.
Yeah.
You know what? It's interesting. It is a long con kind of a movie. I kind of, and John Lithgow's in a small part. I kind of guessed it. I was kind of watching it going, I know exactly how this movie is going to end. And it ended exactly the way I thought it was going to end. And it was a blacklist script. And it wasn't that it was bad. I mean, I liked watching it. I liked the performances. It just wasn't unique. There were so many elements of other things that I'd seen that I wished I didn't guess the movie, but I did love watching it. I love watching it.
All right. And guys, I think that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show here, thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget, if you're one of our beloved channel members, a little bit later this afternoon, I believe it's going to be at 3 p.m. Pacific time. That's 6 p.m. New York time. If you are one of our channel members, we're going to be having a channel member chat. So we're going to be going live around then. So keep your guys' eyes open for that. And of course, don't forget to come on back for the John Campea Show again tomorrow. Tonight, of course, the new episode of Mandalorian comes out. So we're going to be talking about a little bit Mandalorian episode 2 tomorrow. Make sure you're here. And obviously, we're going to be talking John Bernthal, back as Punisher. I think John Madden's going to make an appearance.
John
Yeah.
Madden.
Anyway, with all that, for everybody in the room, Ray Ora, Jonathan Voico, and of course, Robert Meyer Burnett, multi-Saturn Award winner. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye. Scream 3.
Dude.
Scream 3.
Wow,
That's
dude.
awesome.